Welcome. I bid you welcome. This is Johnny Metal, John Clauser, the Metal Dad, coming to you from my music corner. Last year, the W.A.S.P US tour was a huge success with many sold out shows. And now that the European tour is underway, we are seeing that the W.A.S.P tour is selling out shows again. This European tour will run through May 18th, ending in Bulgaria. Be sure to get your tickets for the European leg of the tour at waspnation.com. Also available for this European tour are the meet and greet VIP tickets. Take it from me, this is a wonderful opportunity to get to meet Blackie Lawless, get a photo taken with him, get a couple things signed by him, and take part in an intimate Q&A with Blackie Lawless himself. You can also purchase these meet and greet tickets at waspnation.com. Don't forget, you can also purchase W.A.S.P tour merchandise, official W.A.S.P tour merchandise, and exclusive classic designs at waspnation.com. Don't delay. Check it out and get your merch, get your concert tickets, your VIP tickets. Get them while you can. Welcome. I bid you welcome. This is Johnny Metal, John Clauser, the Metal Dad, coming to you from my music corner of the world. Thank you for joining us. I got my co-captain, my fellow carnivorous hyena, my fellow skinwalker, my fellow mean man, my fellow, my fellow politically incorrect American from Pennsylvania, John the Music Nut. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing great, brother. How about you?
Man, I'll tell you what. Last week for me, that was a big sigh of relief to get past the Crimson Idol. I don't know about you. That was a big one
Yeah.
for me to get past.
Oh,
So
yes.
now the challenge is talking about the rest of these albums that pretty much not a lot of people are going to be all that familiar with.
Correct.
This one would be no different. We're going to talk about Still Not Black Enough. Now, this one, the reason a lot of people probably don't know much about this is unless you're in the UK and Japan, well, you got this on June 19th of 1985. The rest of Europe got it on October 5th of 1995. But us poor schmucks in the United States, yeah, we don't get it until August of 1996, almost a year later. I don't know.
Wow.
I'm not even going to figure that out. I know it was on Castle Records, I believe, here in the States, which was doing the I believe they were about to start doing the Iron Maiden singles and the reissues with the singles. So that's probably how they got tied into it. But I think Raw Power was the company that released this overseas. Um, so there's not much charting action to talk about here.
Right.
Swedish charts only got to 40. Then the UK was 52. There was a single for Black Forever with the B-side of Goodbye America, which got to 88 in the UK. Other than that, that's all I got with the charts. So there's not a whole lot to talk about this little thing here. But I'm gonna let John the Music Nut talk about this album a little bit, and then I'll give you my thoughts and impressions from there. So let's see what you thought about this guy.
All right. Thank you so much, John.
Yes,
And
sir.
before I go on, thank you all for those of you who all been watching and all your comments. It means a great deal to us. We love this band, and it's great to see that a lot of people out there feel the same way and have a lot of strong, passionate opinions about this band as well. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Right. So we're gonna go with Still Not Black Enough. Now, by this point, I was long out of Courtdale. So this album I did not buy originally. I borrowed it from my friend. Thank you, Jared. Uh, he introduced me to another album we're going to talk about soon as well. So here, this is 1996, as John indicated. The version I have here is on Castle, and I do remember it being on Castle originally when I borrowed it from Jared. This album is kind of a continuation of Crimson Idol and the fact that you have Bob Golick playing lead guitar, and you have Frankie Banali on drums, and Blackie is doing all the keyboards, he's producing again, playing all the bass, playing rhythm, playing some lead guitar, and of course all lead vocals. And we do have some extra guests on here. We got John Shadowwinds on lead guitar. We got Mark Josephson on electric violin. Sted Howland added some extra percussion on Scared to Death in One Tribe. And Tracy Whitney and Casey Calloway on backing vocals. That adds different dimension to this album, which we'll go into. Now, with this album, my impression of it is the recording isn't as strong as the previous two. I think the guitars sound a little reined in, like processed. And the drums don't have the punch that you hear on Headless Children or Crimson Idol. So, and we're talking like the original versions here. The Headless Children had a wonderful drum sound on it. Here you'll hear Frankie, but it's not in your face like it is on Headless Children or Crimson Idol. As far as the songs go, this is more melodic W.A.S.P overall. It's not as dramatic. There's more ballads. Blackie still sings very well. There's more of an emphasis on Blackie's voice on this album, in my opinion, than previous albums. Still Not Black Enough is a strong opener. You have Bob Kulick doing an excellent solo on here. Frankie Banali's throwing fills galore throughout. Very strong track, good opener. And then they go into Somebody to Love. Now, to me, this is the original was done by the Great Society. Later on, Jefferson Airplane made it a top 10 hit, one of the great songs of the psychedelic pop era from the wonderful Serialistic Pillow album from 1967 by the Jefferson Airplane. Fantastic album. I have it here somewhere. But here they play it straight, but there's just more drum fills from Frankie. The guitars are louder, and Blackie sings the heck out of it. It's just a heavier version of the original. They don't try to mix it up or anything. It's a good version. Black Forever, which was a single. Now from this song for the next 4 songs, I think this is the heart of the album. Black Forever kicks ass.
Mm-hmm.
You hear this song and you're like, how are they not doing this live to this day? This is just a great anthem. It's everything you love about W.A.S.P before is here. Like by this point, Blackie's going into more mature themes. They're not talking about sex on here on this album at all. But it's just a great fist pumping rocker. And I hope they bring this back out someday.
Boy, I would too.
Oh, and you know what? They never played this live. How? I don't know. But Scared to Death, in revisiting this song, and maybe y'all out there are watching are probably gonna be like, what is this guy on when he's saying this? This reminds me a little bit of the song Keep Talking by Pink Floyd off of the Division Bell album. It has this cerebral, mid-tempo driving rhythm and the backing vocals on it. And there's a lot of call and response between Blackie and the backing vocalist. It's got more of a gospel feel to it. This is a very strong track. It's different for W.A.S.P. I mean, it doesn't really sound, outside of Blackie's vocal, it doesn't really sound like anything they've ever done, but it's very, very good. Goodbye to him. Goodbye, America. I was about to say two. That That's another one they could probably still do live. Another great anthem. Blackie loves his country, but he's scared to death of its government. Hmm, okay, I can get that.
Not much has
Um,
changed over the years.
no, nope, not at all. But this starts out, excuse me, this is just another great W.A.S.P anthem here. I mean, Blackie is on point, fantastic vocal, great chorus. Frankie and Bob, great performances on this song as well. And then we go into Keep Holding On, which beautiful, beautiful song. Blackie found something on Hold On to My Heart.
Mm-hmm.
He found something on here. Keep Holding On is a piano ballad. Again, something they never did before. And it works wonderfully. It's just a piano ballad with the violins bringing in a lot of emotion.
Mm-hmm.
Blackie's vocal is, we've said this before on his ballads, his vocal on here is very tender. It's a beautiful song. Very good. I mean, again, it's something like if you only know Wasp for I Want to Be Somebody or Blind in Texas or Wild Child, if you heard this, you'd be really surprised. They pull this off very well. Rock and Roll to Death is Wasp goes Chuck Berry, and if they didn't record this, I'd be fine with it. It's all right. It's
Yeah.
it's just not much. Man, there's not much I could say about it. Breathe, yeah, exactly. It was just just a 3-chord stomper. It sounds like John
Sure.
would be good, but
Yeah.
Wasp doing it. Blackie singing the heck out of it. Breathe is another ballad. Now, this ballad I like a lot, and it sounds even more mellow. I think the sequencing here, I don't think you should have this so close to Keep Holding On. I think you should have it earlier in the album, maybe the third track, instead of 2 tracks after a great ballad that you already had. It's very good. I again another passionate, beautiful vocal from Blackie on here. I did Keep Holding On resonates more. I think it's a stronger track. Breathe is
Uh-huh.
very good though. I Can't. This starts out Blackie and his acoustic guitar, and it just gets angrier and louder as it goes on, and it becomes
Mm-hmm.
it's not it probably isn't a hard song to play. It's just going through the same chords over and over, but Blackie's vocal on here and his lyrics are really cutting. It's an interesting track. It's good. I wouldn't say it's one of the best tracks on the album, but it's quite good. No Way Out of Here closes the Castle version. I have the 10-track Castle version of this album. It's a good closer. You got great solos on here, particularly from Bob.
Mm-hmm.
And you have Frankie once again. His playing is very good. His playing throughout is great, as is Bob's. But again, they do sound a little reined in by the recording. We have bonus tracks on here, which I don't have on this one, but we have Skinwalker, which it's interesting. On YouTube, it said it was the B-side to Black Forever, but then I'm looking in Europe and it wasn't the B-side.
I think there was a couple versions of it.
Okay.
I remember there was like at least 2 or 3 versions of that of Black Forever, and it one of them had Skinwalker, and other had I'll let you finish there, but yeah, one of them had Skinwalker because that's how I first heard it.
Okay. Skinwalker was good enough to fit on the original album. I would have took Rock and Roll to Death and put this on easy. This is one that I have. This would probably be in the vein of Black Forever, like as far as its heaviness. As far Black Forever, Goodbye America. One Tribe reminds me a little bit of I Can't, because I think it's the similar chords, but it's just heavier. and but it's more driving. And you do have a violin solo on it, which is
Beautiful
interesting for it.
solo.
Yeah, it is very good. I mean, for a hard rock track to have a electric violin solo and it works flawlessly on this. It's very good. And you have covers now. Full disclosure, I didn't check them out, but they have covers Queen's "Tie Your Mother Down" on here, and they have a cover of "Whole Lot of Rosie," and this would be from AC/DC, and these would be on versions, I don't, later versions of the album. It's weird because I know this is a remastered version here, because on the remasters you usually have the writing down the side here, and then the
Mm-hmm.
fact that you have an album that it isn't just a normal silver on the CD. They have the coloring on it all. This
Right.
makes me think this might be a 2001 remaster, but this one didn't have the extra tracks on it. Excuse me. So, but as an album, ooh, I'm gonna give it. I give it a 7.5
Okay. That's
because I,
respectable.
yes, I don't think there's any filler on. Excuse me. I don't think there's any filler on here except for "Rock and Roll to Death." I think it's a more consistent album than "Inside the Electric Circus." But at the same time, I don't know if the highs on this album are nearly as high as the ones on "Last Command," the self-titled debut. And I wouldn't put it, I don't think this is as strong as "Headless Children" or "Crimson Idol." And
Right.
again, the production, I think, takes it back a little bit too. But yeah, 7.5. I mean, I think it gets it gets less, it deserves more credit than it gets. All Music only rated as 2 stars out of 5. I think that's a little disrespectful. Like, it's better than that.
Yeah.
Uh, okay, it is a more melodic album. It's a little different than what Blackie has done before, but it's still quite good. So 7.5.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny because this was another album that Blackie wanted to do as a solo album,
Correct.
just like Crimson Idol, but then his mind got changed and they put the Wasp name on it.
Hmm.
Um, is it like a Wasp album? Yeah, kind of, sort of. You
Yeah.
know, it's the growing, maturing Blackie that we're seeing, that we saw from Crimson Idol. Um, and the lyrical themes in here are, there's a lot of very dark stuff here. You know,
Hmm.
when you really dig into the lyrics here, you can definitely tell this is a bridge to the next album, KFD, because
Yes.
that would really explore some dark themes there. But um so with "Still Not Black Enough," you get choruses like "Black sun, rain on me. I need one, black sun. Tie me to my blackness there, where I am ever free. Taken to the dark edges of my wicked memories." You know, you're really getting into Blackie's psyche with some of these
Yes.
songs. And "Still Not Black Enough" was that strong opener. But then you get into "Somebody to Love," and you get this, again, like you said, they played it straight, just much heavier. And it
Yes.
just, everything gets brought up. And man, I think, to me, this is actually one of my favorite Blackie covers. I think this one, and probably "Easy Living" would probably be two of my favorites
Okay.
of their covers. I always like "Somebody to Love." Um, "Black Forever," like you said, continues in with that "Still Not Black Enough." Almost kind of, it's almost like a modern day "Painted Black," almost, when you really stop to think about it. "I want
Hmm.
black, don't fade away. I want it black forever. Inside of me is all I want to see is the colors in my head."
Right.
It kind of has that lyrical theme of "Painted Black," and he just keeps going. And again, it's just like this darkness that you can tell Blackie was apparently in after Crimson Idol, because
Yes.
I think he just went like completely off the wagon, after Crimson Idol was done, because he put so much of himself into that album, and I think he was probably seeing a lot more of himself in the Jonathan character instead of the little bit of this, a little bit of that, and a little bit of this, and whoever, and all these things. But it was apparently it took him a long time to get out of this. Scared to Death, probably one of my favorite tracks on this album. I've always loved Scared to Death. I love the female vocals. Kind of brings that kind of has that little bit of a gimme shelter kind of vibe to it.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
know,
yes.
so that ties another little Rolling Stones of the Painted Black thing. But
Yep.
I mean, again, it's just there is just like this. It's just like you're painting this story of where he is, and it's like you're just like, I mean, like, scared to have sex. I don't want to die. Scared I'll be next. I'm scared for my life, dying to live, but there ain't no way out of here alive. And I'm thinking again, he's talking about the insanity that was in his mind trying to get out of the Crimson Idol. And there's
Yeah.
just this like, oh my goodness, it's just like this just PTSD type of thing. I don't know, but this was a strong, emotion-filled song with a great rhythm by Frankie, and again, just tasteful playing by Bob. Then we get into Goodbye America. Politically correct and damn proud of it. I love my country, but I'm scared to death of its government. Again, this is, and you think about this, this is 10 years after the PMRC.
Yes.
So he's still writing love songs to the PMRC. Only
Yeah.
this time I think it's just to the government itself. But
Correct. Yeah.
man, this is this again, you're just getting in all this kind of where he saw America at the time, which 95. So Clinton would have been president, I guess, at the time. So again, you're seeing this crazy landscape going on. But then he slows it down to keep holding on. Oh gosh. I've had times I'm listening to that song in the car and I'm just crying my eyes out.
Yeah.
I'm trying to sing along with this thing and I just can't do it. It's just a beautiful track. Definitely speaking of a lost loved one, I believe this may be a song that I believe it may have been written for his mother who had passed away some years earlier.
Yes.
And just an absolutely beautiful track. I think I've read stories where I think the only time he ever sung this song was on this CD, and he does it. I don't think he has the heart to do it since then, but just a beautiful, beautiful ballad. Yeah, Rock and Roll to Death. I believe this was on a compilation that come out by Capitol prior to this, if my memory serves me correctly. I want to say it was first cut deep something, first blood deep cuts or something.
First blood last cuts.
Thank you. First blood last cuts. So I want to say that song was on that. Okay. Maybe it was either that or Sunset in Babylon. I know that was on there too, but maybe they both were on there. Comments, help me out on this one because I don't have that. I actually don't have that. So yeah, not much to say there really. It like you say, it's a Chuck Berry, just straight up rock and roll track. It's not a bad track, but it's a straight up rock and roll track. Yes, then you go into another beautiful ballad in Breathe. A little I kind of a Hold on My Heart part 2 kind of thing, has that kind of same feel to it. I Can't, you gotta love that little down and it was the acoustic guitar, like you said, it just gets he just keeps building and building, and you just feel the anger just keep coming up, and yeah, he gets into language I'm not going to repeat here, but I'll kill the beast to free my soul and smash the mirrors that won't let me go. Oh, if there's a smile that you see, it's only the clockwork orange that's in me. I curse the darkness and passion plea and tear the heart out and watch me bleed. I'll sacrifice my blood for free to satisfy the vengeance that's in me. Bury the mirror that's inside me. Yeah, if that's not a take from Crimson Idol and some of the characters there. No Way Out of Here. That one's probably my favorite track on this album. I love it as a closing track. Yes, there's one thing that it's like this, Goodbye America, Black Forever, and Still Not Black Enough all kind of have this like little same kind of intro, this kind
Yeah.
of get that same feeling a little bit. So it's almost like it's maybe like a kind of another brick in the wall, part 1, 2, and 3, maybe. I don't know. It's just continuation of those
Right.
songs. But No Way Out of Here is definitely one of my favorite tracks off this album. Again, you go into that psyche because you know he had to go away for a while, and he just needed to just completely get himself out of the Crimson Idol, and he needed to get himself out of a lot of things too, but he just needed to be released. But he realizes there's just no way out of here, and it's just a strong song. Love the solos Bob does. Just an amazing track from beginning to end. Now, you mentioned one thing about this little thing called sequencing. Grant Arthur, this is where you come in because I know
Yeah.
how much you loved properly sequenced albums. And this one, maybe not quite so well sequenced, unfortunately. But again, there are a few different versions out here. The version that we went over, which is the main 10 tracks. There's other versions that there's this other version I picked up here. This is a Castle Records. I believe this was a reissue of some sort.
Okay.
Now, the Still Not Black Enough leads this one off. Track 2 is Skinwalker, which to me is another fantastic track. I loved that song when I first heard it on one of the CD singles that came out for this. Again, this is another song that just dives into that tortured soul that Blackie was feeling. Let me pull up I'm going to pull the lyrics up here for this real quick. Let's see. Show me once more. I cannot hide because I am here now, but I'm lost inside. Voices I hear, but I cannot see because I never will be free. No good, darkened through. I walk this line. Skin walk my darkness. Skin me alive. Two in me, we can see who we are. Take me and rape me alone in the dark. Two inside, there's a scream in my ear. Skin walk my head. Ain't no way out of here. Again, this is a really deep track. This is just as deep. I mean, this is taking No Way Out of Here and Still Not Black Enough and Black Forever to another level. Because you could just tell this again, that tortured soul that he was feeling. Strong track. Love the guitar work again from Bob. Great drumming from Frankie. I like the drums actually a little bit better on this one. There's something different about it. But whatever it was, I liked it. Then you follow it Black Forever, Scared to Death, Goodbye America. Then you get Somebody to Love.
Right.
Then you get Keep Holding On, Rock and Roll to Death, I Can't, and then No Way Out of Here. And then it adds One Tribe, which again, another beautiful track. I really love this song. Let me see. Give me peace, give me hope, give me love, just one life to be free, just one world, live in peace, one love, because in a sea, feed my soul, save one world, save us all, one love, lift my hands, raise my heart, I touch the sky, the face of God, rain all your love down on us all. Oh, just an absolutely gorgeous track, gorgeous lyrics. It's like he's just crying for just some peace and some love to come over this world, which we're still wanting from this 25 years later. Again, right. Beautiful track. And then you have the covers, Tie Your Mother Down by Queen. Again, kind of plays it straight. Nothing overly fancy. Whole Lot of Love. Again, nothing really fancy here. Not Whole Lot of Rosie. Thank you. Did I say Whole Lot of Love? Sorry.
Yes.
Whole Lot of Rosie. I'm in a Zeppelin frame of mind, apparently. But Whole Lot of Rosie, again, I don't know. I didn't really like how that one was recorded when I listened. I was listening to it in my headphones, and something just didn't. I don't know. It sounded weird, but it's not a bad version. And then you do have some other CD single versions out there. that you also get their version of It's a Long Way to the Top If You Want to Rock and Roll.
Nice.
I used to have that. I don't have that anymore. And I'm not, again, not going to spend a lot of money to try and track that down. But it was a pretty good version. You can hear it on YouTube, and I believe you can hear it on, there's a bootleg album out there of like all of the covers that they've done. Somebody like amassed all the covers together. So I don't know what that sounds like. But now in this version, there was a song missing. I don't know if you remember me
Yes,
throwing that one off.
it was Breathe.
Breathe. Breathe was omitted on this one for whatever reason. So I'm guessing obviously they replaced it with Skinwalker, and they just ran with it from there. So Breathe is not on every single release, but anyway, I think this version is probably sequenced a little bit better with taking Breathe out of it, even though I do like that song. So
Yes.
so with that being said, so again, for me, I give this, I have the memories of this album because again, so many of the songs just were really reaching into my soul. So I think for me, I give this about an 8. I think the sequencing stuff kind of throws it out there. And I guess, some of the, again, some of the repetitiveness of some of the riffs and whatever kind of knock it back, but it's still not a bad album. And it's still really strong. One that, again, you can't find this on streaming services. You're not going to find this on Spotify. You're not going to get this on iTunes or Amazon Music or any of those.
Yep.
So you really have to go digging for this one. And I think a lot of it's because the labels that this was on are not around. So hopefully Blackie is able to get the rights back for the album, and he can do something with it. So I would love to, because I would love to see a reissue with this one.
Oh yes.
So John, if you got some more thoughts with this one, take it away.
I think we summed it up very well. Our thoughts on this album. I mean, it is quite good. I mean, maybe not classic W.A.S.P, but there are songs on here that they should revisit in a live forum so more people can get acquainted with this album. And as far as the tour, they didn't tour this album. They only did 5 shows. Oh wait, I think I got 5 shows in California in 1996, and they didn't hit this album at all. I mean, that was just all in California, the Palace in LA, the Boardwalk in Orangevale, the Edge in Palo Alto, Fourth and B in San Diego, and Hollywood Grand in LA, Los Angeles.
Yeah.
That was pretty much it. I mean, you go back there, maybe they did Rock and Roll to Death as part of the end, as the ending of Me Man, just a twofer there to end some shows, which we will talk about later because that's how one of the live albums ends.
Right.
But yeah, this album's kind of been ignored in their canon. It's definitely worth checking out. Yes, you're not going to find on streaming services, but you can go on YouTube and check out all these songs, as a matter of fact. So that would be the only way, but not Spotify, as John indicated. But yes, that's pretty much sums it up. But yes, quite good.
Yep. Yeah, I really, the lack of tour and the lack of promotion and just the lack of, I think I managed to find this through the catalogs again, and when it came out in 95. And then I don't know if I picked up a 96 version or not. I don't really remember, but it's just the lack of, but then, let's think about the landscape of 1995.
I was just thinking about that.
I'm thinking, well, let's see. Summer of 95, I seem to remember Kiss was doing Kiss conventions where they were getting out there and they were doing like unplugged stuff, which would lead to the Kiss Unplugged show that they would eventually record and release, which would then eventually lead back to the original 4 getting back together. I'm trying to think what else was big in 95. I mean, Pantera was still big. Ozzy was probably Osmosis, I guess, was out. So that would have been your heavy hitters, but then Soundgarden, I guess, was out with like Super Unknown or one of those albums. So that would have, that you still had the grunge heavy hitters and what they were doing. So there really wasn't, I'm sure there's a lot of stuff missing. I'm sure Marilyn Manson was probably getting primed and ready to
Right.
come out, which we'll talk about him a little bit more in the next one. A
Yes.
little teaser there. Um, but you just had a lot. You just had a really, I think boy bands were starting up at the time, so that was your other weird stuff. The teeny bopper thing came back, so you had a lot of
Yes.
taken away from the kids. So it just was a weird time. Aerosmith was coming out and they were doing all kinds of different stuff. So it wasn't they weren't really like the big band. Guns N' Roses was still off of Use Your Illusions, but I think by this point there was so much infighting. Who knows what they were up to? What Metallica was probably coming out with Load, I guess, by this point,
Load would
maybe.
have been 96. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, so 95, 96. So you had that. Um, it's not that Slayer was that big yet, but I mean they were coming down with like Divine Intervention and they did that punk album, so they weren't,
That's a
and
good one too.
those really weren't that fantastic. Anthrax was pretty much out of it. After Sound of White Noise, they kind of got labeled, they got thrown off all kinds of crazy labels. So they weren't able to put stuff out. Megadeth had their big albums, but then they started mid 90s was kind of a weird time for them. So it was like a weird time for metal and hard rock then. So I don't know. Who knows? But of course, Maiden was going through the Blaze years, I think at that point, right? So that would have
Right.
been so that was they weren't that big then. Um, I think
Priest,
Jugulator Priest was about to come out with Jugulator at some point,
maybe about a year or two after this. Yeah.
something like that. I think that was 97, I guess, but
I believe so. Yes.
something like that. So yeah, I mean, it just was a weird time for the metal and the music landscape. So but it's still not black enough. It's hard to really see on this cover, but you see that crow in the back,
Hmm.
but then you also see that person with their head on their hands on their head and look like they're wanting to like to squash their head in or something because it's the way it was just drawn is just so good. So um anyway, but man, I would love to see the fans connect with this one in some way, shape, or form, and be able to introduce people to something beyond, because a lot of people basically stopped with Crimson Idol,
Yeah.
or they stop if they did stop with Crimson Idol, then they skipped to the album we'll talk about next week. So
Right.
with that, one thing I do want to mention, by the way, the thumbnail that I'm going to put together for this, I got to thank Mike Ladano from the Mike Ladrain, the Drain Train. I'm going to butcher that. Sorry, Mike. My apologies. Anyway, you've seen Mike do stuff with the Contrarians, especially with Marco um, talking about Mystique, and
Yes.
of course Mike's got a lot of good stuff out there. Lots of reviews,
Great
lots of
channel.
great channel. I wanted to plug him because when I was looking for images, I saw this and I'm like, oh, wait a minute, this is from his site. Wait a second, I'm going to ask permission for this. So I wanted to give Mike a shout out for that. So thank you for even though it's I realized this the image was still the inlay card of the CD. It was still off of his site, and I still wanted to give him credit for at least snagging that. So I appreciate that, Mike. So still not black enough. It's a good album, folks. Go if you can find it. It's worth your time. It's probably even worth the money to check into if you want. Maybe just listen to it on YouTube if that's what you want. But it's still a good album, and it's still dive deep into that psyche of Blackie. So,
No doubt.
all right, John, the music. Now, what you got coming up? Anything I can help plug for you on this one before we go?
I'm on the Contrarians. I'm on Rock Daydream Nation. I always got content going on there.
Okay.
So just check them out, and you'll see me on there eventually.
Nice. Okay.
And I'll be on Bicycle Legs next month too.
Sweet. Yeah. Yeah. Be sure to check out Bicycle Legs. He's always got a lot of good stuff going on there. So, all right. For my fellow mean man, my fellow neutron bomber, my fellow hellion, my fellow carnivorous hyena, my fellow politically correct American. This is John the Music Nut. This is Johnny Metal, John Clauser, the Metal Dad, from my music corner of the world. Next week, if you thought Still Not Black Enough was dark, you ain't seen nothing yet. Until next week. See ya.
See ya.